Hello everyone, and welcome back to Let's Play Caveman to Cosmos with me, Alpha Bio Omega and Byzantium. So the turn is 6613 year 1533 AD, and we are one turn away from Grand War. And that means only 5 more technologies away from industrial... Actually, pretty much 4 technologies away from industrial lifestyle. We're gonna finish 3 of those in this episode: Grand War, Hot Air Balloon, and Elixirs and Tonics. And in the next episode, we're gonna do Mine Warfare, Team Sports, and then the industrial lifestyle itself, which is gonna be fun. Now, what's new? Well, actually, I wanted to say that now that we are not in a war, the turns are actually going much faster, and I have been having pretty good success with everything I have tried to do. When you look at the newly colonized territory in the southwest, we now have all of the cities that we wanted to have here. We have Justiniana Nova as the original border city, and Cherson. Then you have Nicandros, you have Eleftheron, you have Magnastis, Dionipetra, you have Chryseapolis, and you have the last one, which I always have a hard time remembering, Orthodoxion, which is the newest one. It will take me a couple of turns before I remember the name. And despite the fact that we haven't added yet another city, you can see that since the end of the last episode that the actual deficit that we are in actually dropped. We were around minus 46k in deficit when this city was founded, and we managed to lower it by a significant amount. And every single turn I'm seeing a huge decrease of at least a couple hundred, sometimes even 1,000 going down, so you can see that it's working. I'm still not sure if that means that we are going to make it and not run dry when it comes to our cash, but yeah, we're only about 8,500 above or below the minimum that we will need to have so that our actual economy doesn't stop. But again, it's actually pretty cool because we can still trade technologies, we can do a number of stuff, and we still have about 30 to 40 turns depending on how this is going to go, and the amount is going to keep increasing as the deficit is going to go down. So if we had, for example, minus 10,000, we would see that we have about 120 turns before we run out of money. So things are doing well. I'm focusing only purely on financial buildings right now, with the exception, of course, of the new cities, which are doing the usual. They're doing the mining camps, the ancient customs, they're doing the grand estates, lumber camps, and frankly also university now, because university is quickly shaping up to be one of the best buildings that we have available. It gives food, it gives science, it gives a ton of culture, which is really necessary here so that we keep pushing the border away. There are no cities very near, with the exception of Seoul, but that one is really small, and I really don't think that they have much culture. No, they actually do have a lot of culture, so that just makes the point of pushing their culture away even more important. We're building mining camps, calligraphy schools, arboretums, stuff like that, so these cities become a self-sufficient thing. And I have already started building or constructing some food trains as well as, of course, the supply trains, which are coming almost non-stop now. I always find a city that's gonna send another supply train once we use the one. It is a lot of cities here, but it is one of... I actually have 2 priorities when you think about it. I have the priority to elevate the south western... I don't want to call it a continent, but let's call this a region, the south western region. All these cities needs to be elevated. There is also 2 more cities that we have here, and I don't want to forget about them, Kalea and Athaniopolis, which are also fairly new. But considering all things, they are doing pretty well. They are self-sufficient. They don't have any crime. They have education, so they are not an immediate priority. But once we elevate this region, I'm going to add them to the mix, and we are going to make sure that these cities as a whole, the border cities basically, are going to be developed. I'm not going to file a farm I'm not gonna found another city until we get to a reasonable deficit. I think that at this point it would be something like minus 10k, or an actual surplus that would make me immediately start expanding again, because as we mentioned, we have a lot of potential for growth. But I think the borders are secure as they are right now. We have a pretty good thing going on, and most of the territories that would, that we could consider for further colonization, namely here, here, and here, are firmly within our territory. So, and also probably here. So we don't really need to be pushed into any action at this point. Yeah, it could also be a city found here, and here, but those are just small plans. So we don't really need to grow anymore. We're at 61 cities. And we're gonna focus now purely on the deficit drop. Again, we are very close to industrial lifestyle, which is gonna change a lot for us. I expect, to be quite honest, that it's not gonna be that much of an effect on the actual economy itself, but it's gonna focus purely on industrial production and food. At least in the beginning. I'm not really basing this on anything. It's just my hunch. But of course there are going to be some buildings, but I'm saying that mostly it should be focused on industrial and food production. But we'll see. Yeah, there's things like agricultural engineering here, which you can see gives us a huge bonus. Farms are going to be more and more prevalent. Oh, greenhouse. Okay, so that one is actually a really nice building. Is it an upgrade to anything? Oh, it replaces all of the actual single farms. That's good, because we have a ton of these around, so getting one big thing instead. And of course that's... Oh wait, advanced rocket, that's a little bit... Steel, bicycles. Here's electricity, which is gonna be a big thing for us as well. Civil engineering, core suburbs. Oh yeah, nice. Suburbs are gonna pop up, which is good, because that's also something that's gonna help us economy-wise. But yeah, I mean, this is... I really expect that it's gonna revolutionize most of our income, so most of our industrial production and food, and not as much of an income difference is gonna be had. Actually, did we... 110,000. 49. Yeah, so you can see growth on pretty much all levels, but I think that the GNP is increasing most rapidly, though quite a lot of the buildings that we're doing, like the district offices, are mostly focused on reducing maintenance, which in some cases is really high. Like here you can see almost 1,400 just for the city of Constantinople alone. Though, this really goes to... Well, no, actually the maintenance is still there. This is the overall outcome which would be affected. So we're, focusing most of our income purely into science. Well, either way, let's listen in for the Grand War, and then I'm gonna jump forward. We're mostly, in another golden age. Oh god, yeah, we have a golden age, I think, still. I don't remember when it's gonna end. That's one thing that actually was always a bit of an issue. Oh, and actually we got a great person, a Saint Stanislaus Kostka, who is a Polish theologian. I was considering adding him to the city, which would give us a lot of production in gold and some science and culture. But I thought, let's wait. We could build things like the Golden Temple, but there might be more important things coming around. And frankly, 16 gold in our situation is a drop in the bucket. It's not going to make any big difference. So let's just keep him. Maybe eventually he will be able to invent something for us. We have only 2 more people here, the great engineers, who could help us, but again, I don't think they're that much of a use. We could actually use them at the end of the next episode, because we're gonna get 1 free technology, and we've already established that marine biology is actually a pretty good one. And we also want the steam power, and there are things like statistics, metric system. That's actually pretty good. +2, 3 engineers. Mathematics department, oh yeah. Oh yeah, so that one would be also good. But again, there may be something a little bit better here. Steam power emancipation. Journalism. I remember that there was a building here that actually had a really nice goal output. I don't remember. Might have been a little bit down the line. Well, either way, let's end the turn and hear it for Grand War.
Only a fool or a fraud talks tough or romantically about war.
Alright, so we've established before that Grand War gives us only very little. It gives us an upgrade to our units in the form of mortar, which is a cannon, which then upgrades to light artillery. Man, we're getting really close to modern warfare. And man of war, which is a direct upgrade to our current ships. Later on, they're going to be upgraded to pre-dreadnoughts and iron frigates, which really is quite in scope of where we are at the start of the past century. Man, it's always hard for me to realize that it's like 2025 and I still feel in the terms of 1900s, but still. Either way, as I said, district office, then the law firm, those are the usual buildings that I go for. Citadel is a pretty good one. Then I always check if there is some hidden gem here, because you never know, sometimes the buildings give you pretty good things, and because there isn't anything here, I'm gonna just shadow jail and check. No, we cannot build any supply trains. What about the World Wonders? Yeah, we need to build a Wall Street somewhere. That one is a pretty good building. It gives a huge boost to the city's gold output. Unfortunately, I already checked that it cannot be built in Constantinople, which would be best for it. So I need to identify which city has the highest gold production. The rest, not that interesting. I kind of like the Alamo because it means that when we lose units, it will give their base strength as culture in all cities. Pardon me. And some of our units even have like 100, which at this point would be turned to about 6,000 culture, which is actually pretty good. But we're not really losing those units at all. So that's the thing that's not really making me rush in that regard. Either way, that's all for this update, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Oh hey, another building opportunity. So you've already built the district office. Let's get these ones done. No food, nothing. Culture. Cooper is a good one. Or Cooper, in this case, to pronounce it well. And yeah, no more buildings. Cool. Turn 6624, year 1536 AD, and we are one turn away from hot air balloon. So right off the bat, you can see that our deficit is slowly but surely dropping. We now have less than 1 million in our coffers, to be precise 803,666 gold, but the deficit is now only 36,967 gold per turn, meaning that if we actually go and lower the investment to a 0, we are now at minus 5,542. This is due to a combination of a number of new buildings coming online, but also due to the fact that the inflation took another drop. It was 78%, now it's 76.75%. So we are surely but slowly lowering it. But you can see it was something slightly over 50,000, now it's 49,558. So the real difference is in the income, where we are now at 114,395. I'm doing my best to actually increase it even further in a reasonable way that would make sure that our cities are doing all right, and that even if we run out of money, we can just lower the investment into our research and stay in the positive. Now, before I wasn't really sure if we're going to make it, but now that I know that we are already down to minus 6,000 at a minimum investment, we are definitely going to make it. It's going to be fun because we will have to sort of like push away from the bottom and start increasing our investments again. It's going to make our cities grow. Well, actually, not the cities. The technologies are going to come slightly slower, but it will give our cities a little bit more time to actually catch up and establish themselves. Speaking of establishment, the southwest is doing better and better. I have managed to keep a steady stream of supply trains, and even some food trains are coming. So as you can see, we now have some of the cities at 9, only a couple of them at 8, and even those are going to grow very soon. Orthodoxion is actually going to grow in 4 turns, and Eleftheron in 16. So at that point, the small cities that we will have will be at 9. And I'm hoping that we'll be able to get them actually to 10 very soon. Now, I've also managed to finally solve all of the issues that we had with crime and disease. So none of the cities actually have issues with either of those. And when it comes to education, you can see that it is steadily rising. Actually, the only one that's not rising really rapid is Chrysapolis, which is kind of interesting because that city is not very new. Well, I mean, it was just that. Well, actually, it is. It is. I'm speaking nonsense. It's actually been quite some, quite one of the youngest cities that we have established. Interesting, I noticed that Courthouse also gives us a lot of money. That's a building that I have forgot about for these new buildings because they lower maintenance. And for these new cities, the maintenance is just insane. You can see that 350 is coming from number of cities, and over 200 is coming from distance from powers. Which is crazy when you notice that Constantinople has less than 3 times that number. So, yeah, that's crazy. Anyway, at this point, let's go and hear it for Hot Air Balloon.
After us, they'll fly in hot air balloons. Coat styles will change. Perhaps they'll discover a 6th sense and cultivate it. But life will remain the same. A hard life full of secrets, but happy. And 1,000 years from now, man will still be sighing, "Oh, life is so hard," and will still, like now, be afraid of death and not want to die.
So hot air balloons give us pretty much nothing. They just give us 2 units, the Zephyr and Hot Air Balloon, and Augustine the First, which is a broad unit. We get no buildings, no improvements, and nothing. A lot of these newer technology, or newer, a lot of these remnant technologies are like this because we have skipped them for these exact reasons that there wasn't really that much of a reason to go and get them sooner. Realistically, I could actually skip them and just trade for them down the line. But, you know, I don't want to do that. I feel like we are doing good without having to resort to this kind of thing. So let's just get all of them before we jump. I mean, we're left with just a couple. Now, Elixir and tonics. Give me just a second here. Well, I check these ones. Do you have... Oh, you don't. Okay, so I have 76. Jesus, that's really nice. 76 gold. And then you're gonna go with... Do we have the wall firm? You do have the wall firm, and these are all... Well, you can do the quote maker. These are just like cheap but quick buildings to make some money. Oh yeah, the bridal shop is really good. So copper will come later. Terracotta workshop is also good. I like the insurance office though, it increases crime a little bit. Gal is a good one. And then you can go with the accounting firm. And the stock market is not worth here at all at this point. Alright, we'll revisit you later. So Elixir and Tonics is an interesting one because, as we established, it gives a new unit called Surgeon, which is an upgrade to the unit Doctor that we have right now. And it gives a Snake Oil Sales and Surgeon's Office. Surgeon's Office is, I believe, an upgrade, yes, to the Doctor's Office. But Snake Oil Sales is a completely new building that gives you quite a lot of money, 10 gold plus 1% income, in exchange for an increase in crime, disease, and education decrease. Now, I'm not 100% sure that we're gonna be building these, because I'm not sure how good it is. I'm trying to avoid these negative buildings. And I mean, let's say it gives us 12 gold per city, so it would be, what? About 700 gold is not that bad in the overall scheme of things, but it would probably hurt a lot of our cities in the long run, especially because I think we have established that we will need to work further on the education. What's the scholarly? 5,000, alright. So how many cities that we have right now has a 5,000 education? Wait, domestic. Quite a ton of them, but, well, actually a lot of them. All up to Lutko Lane, and then these ones don't. But that would hurt them. And yeah, a lot of them even increase education further. Alright, I'll need to think about this. It's not a priority right now, but probably in the episode before we get the industrial lifestyle, some of these ones will tip over. But these ones could use some work, because it would make sense to actually have as many cities jump up as possible, because they get, don't they get a bonus to income too when they are at that level? Yes, they do. They get a bonus to production, gold, and science, and birth rate specialist, trade route. But they need, okay, crime and disease goes down, a risk of fire as well, but they need way more food to grow. But the food to grow is going to be something that we're going to get during the industrial lifestyle. It is, I think, better than to have an issue with that down the line. How does it scale in atomic lifestyle enlightened? You get 5% extra. 70, but you need 7,500, so 25%. No, that's not 25%, it's actually 50%. And here's 10,000, alright. Scales the same way for each? Nanotech? No, 15,000. So it's always 50%, it seems. So here's gonna be 22.5? No, 20. I mean, we don't really need to worry ourselves with these, but I'm just curious. 25. Cosmic is 30. $45. And that's the last one. Alright, well, why not? Anyway, just as a last note, I'm building tamed elephants, I'm building tamed pigs and everything, and sending them down south as well, because, you know, they give nifty bonuses of +1 to food production and some culture and stuff like that. So I realized that's also something that we ought to do. I do these in waves sometimes, just spreading them out when I get a new tamed animal, or realize that I haven't done it in a while. And, you know, it's a good way to get additional flat base for all of those buildings that are based on a percentage. Anyway, I think that's all for now. I'll see you in 10 turns in the last update with the Elixirs and tonics. Turn 6634, year 1539 AD, and we are 1 turn away from Elixirs and tonics. Well, quite honestly, we have halved our current money reserves. We are at 428,445, but you can see that the current deficit is only 32,696, meaning that if we lower the investment into science to a 0, we see a green number after, well, decades, maybe 100 years, I don't know. Well, we have been spending like crazy in the past few episodes, so this is pretty good news, and I expect that we are going to further continue dropping it as many of the cities are building stuff like accounting firms, petting zoos, you know, portrait painters, artist colonies, learning centers, cottage industries. Okay, cottage industries doesn't really help, but stock markets, presidential monuments, and so on and so on. So we'll see how we're gonna be doing in 10 more turns when we should be left with about 100,000 gold. As far as our empire goes, otherwise, we have finished the Declaration of Independence, I think it's called. No, Human Rights Declaration. I always mix up those two and mess it up. Which gave us 1 extra population in all cities, meaning Constantinople is now at 49. 1.4 million people live in our capital, which is amazing. It also covered the smaller cities that we have in the southwest, so all of them are now at either population 9 or 10. You can see that Orthodoxion and Eleftheron both will grow very soon, at which point all of our cities are going to be at population 10 or higher, which is good in itself. Now, I have otherwise been really focused on improving our economy, so there's not much else to say apart from that. It has a positive effect also on our scientific output, because as the cities gain more money, they invest some of that into science. So we are very close to breaking that 100,000 mark, which is great. It's going to be pretty good. The more science we produce, the faster research we do, and especially because we'll have to stop funding that as extensively as we did before, it will make even more sense to us. Now, when it comes to the general, it's the wrong one. When it comes to the general output, you can see that we have broke through 121,000 in gold production, which is just amazing. Manufactured goods are now at 40,500 roughly, and crop yield is now at 22,343. Though, I'll be honest, most of the manufactured goods and crop yield, in my opinion, comes from the new cities, which are building things like arboretums, which gives you a huge amount of food, lumber camps, engineering schools, stuff like that. So those will help greatly as the time will pass, so the cities can grow rapidly. But most of the gold production is coming from our core cities. It is actually really wonderful to see how the cities have grown. Constantinople being almost at 50, Adi and Laodicea at 41, and then a number of cities above 30. It's just amazing. When it comes to education, I haven't really spent much time on it, but you can see that many of the cities actually broke up the 5,000 mark. There is some decrease in some of the cities, because we have actually grown the cities, as you saw, +1 population flat. And of course, the cities are growing on their own. So some of the cities are still below the 5,000 mark. So from now on, I'm going to start focusing on that, because in the next episode, in about, 30 turns? Actually, it's going to be a little bit more than that. Elixirs took about 10 turns. Mine Warfare is going to be quick. Solo team sports, those are actually, okay, so you're going to be 8 and 10 turns, but you're going to be 16. So we have about 26, 34 turns. So in 34 turns, as many cities as possible should be at education above 5,000. But again, money is the first and foremost thing. It's gonna, the actual education level above 5,000 is going to help us as well, because it's gonna boost the city's output when it comes to gold production. So we're gonna get 5% extra in every city, which is going to make a huge difference. But still, it is important to focus on economy first, so that we don't go bankrupt. I mean, we are already at positive at 0, but 0 is not something that we want to be at, and I would much rather have it higher than that. There is always an option to switch to wealth production, which will give us quite a lot of money if we do it in enough cities. But I don't want to, because that seems like the absolute waste of everything. I'd much rather actually turn it to research directly, because that seems like a better output than anything else. Is there anything else to mention at this point? I don't think so. More and more cities are actually approaching the point where I'm like, there's not much use in you building anything. So I'm sort of clearing out the last things, like the animal shelters and so on. It makes easier to build the food trains and supply trains that are flooding into the south. I'm sending some now even to Kelea and Isauropolis, because these two also need to be boosted. As I said, we have to account for them because they're also fairly new. Though it is worth saying that because they are in the mountains, their growth as far as food goes, especially in Isauropolis. No, actually, that's not Isauropolis, that's Ataniopolis. My bad. But especially in Ataniopolis, the growth of food is actually really bad, but the industrial production is really good. So while the city has been founded over 50 years ago, it's still only at population 11. So it would make sense to start sending the food trains to these two cities to grow them faster, because while these ones are in a lush terrain and their biggest problem is to build industry, these guys are not having that much problem with industry. It's the actual population where they will struggle. So we have to make do with what. Yeah, like Ataniopolis has literally 0 farms around it. It has the best building, or the best tile that it has when it comes to food production is this one with the orchard. There is marble quarry here. There's a fort here. Actually, we could switch that. You have forest here, and okay, there's one more here, but I don't think they're actually utilizing that one. Yeah, it's too far away, and they're not even using this one. They're just purely focusing on production. So yeah, it's getting 104 from buildings. They still have a bunch of these that you could build, which would help. Family farm, which gives a percentage bonus, is giving only 2. Well, that's adorable. Farmers market. Yeah, there's a lot of things here that could help eventually, but they're all fairly meager, so we'll just burn through those in the upcoming months and weeks. But again, you know, money first. So anyway, let's hear it for Elixirs and tonics now, and then end the episode.
Learn to ignore these arguments. They're the stock in trade of snake oil salesmen. When you don't have real evidence, it's easy to find a version of your pet theory in some old book. Chinese sages with long beards, wise old women prescribing natural folk remedies. These are characters from fairy tales, not trustworthy sources of medical information.
Alright, so as we discussed before, Elixirs and tonics gives us the snake oil sales and the surgeon's office, and I kind of missed that. Disease control 5. Alright, that's good. All of our doctors are now going to be a little bit more effective. This one is required to... Yes, we require mega complex medical clinic or surgeon's office. Requires drugs. New upgrade to a medic. Alright, and need an upgrade to ambulance or medical lab technician. It's interesting. 41 strength, really? Oh, but you're the last one. That's actually the best. Requires nano architecture. Oh my god. What about the ambulance? Okay, so that one actually has further upgrades. Reward to ambulance. Medivac dropship. Okay, so that's also a really big jump. Well, either way, let's examine the effect of the Elixirs and tonics. Oh wow, 23.45, that's actually really good. But it will increase crime and disease and lower education. And I guess... but it gives bonuses to also people like the healers. The units that heal. 23 is really a lot. 23 is really a lot. And hey, down to 41,000. Nice. Alright, you start with beavers. Then build me the crop. And this one, I have to make a decision here though. I guess we're gonna do this on case by case. Because otherwise we really do not have... And the crime here is really skyrocketing. How much does the new unit cost? Because it would make sense to actually build you as a martial unit, and then yeah, all right, we have to do it. I mean, at this point, we can raise. Do they upgrade? Actually, that's a good question. Replaced by alternative medicine. What does that one need? Requires counterculture. Alright, well, we can do it. We can build up the basis for that. That makes me feel a little bit better about it. So, let's just do that. You finished the ballista. Anything else that you can do? I mean, I'm avoiding the gambling dens, smugglers, because the crime is just bad. You would... Man, these penalties to the production are just crazy. Alright, the gunsmith is good, but yeah, the snake oils need to go first. I'll have to always manually make sure that crime and disease is at a reasonable level, so that it doesn't really hurt us. But can you get independence? Oh, okay, not interested in that. And yeah, I guess that's it for now. You need a quarry here, so let's continue. 41,393 gold. Does that mean that we have lowered the inflation again? We did! Alright, inflation is... No, it's still 76.75, but for some reason it went down a little bit. So we have greatly increased the income then. Yeah, 122,399. So what would be the end of episode result? 1,500, alright. So we could now go with 5% reasonably. Nice. That makes me feel better. I mean, yeah, we're gonna get there. I mean, 30,000 is still a big stretch. It is a huge stretch, but if you think about it, we have new cities to work with. We have a lot of other cities that actually still can produce a ton. So we'll get there, guys. We'll get there. I'm feeling good about this. Either way, thank you very much for joining me for this episode. I'm actually gonna speed run through these. I want to get the industrial lifestyle as fast as possible because I'm really curious what it's gonna be like. Mostly from the graphics perspective, I really want to see some factories on the map. So yeah, I'm spending a lot of time recording and playing Civ now. So anyway, thank you very much, and I'll see you in the next episode. The last one that we will actually spend in the darkness of the Renaissance.